Morning, ATD family. We are back again, postseason edition of ATD. We've wrapped up the division series. We are on to the championships, and we are deep in the championship series now, both of which could end within the next game. It is crazy to think that we are at this point where the World Series is literally around the corner. I I mean, I feel like just yesterday we were in April and now we are in November. We are going to start this show off as we always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful Saturday morning?
So you just hit I'm doing great, but you just hit a soft spot in my heart, recognizing the fact that the World Series starts in 6 days and that baseball will be over in about 13 days. So that's, that,
In your mind though, you're hoping it will be baseball will be over in about 10 days.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. I've been prognosticating for the last several months where I joke with Sam and call the Dodgers the 2024 world champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. I still am trying to speak it into existence, but I'll tell you what, I even said it when the Dodgers were down 2-1 to the Padres. We got a shot. We still got a shot. So
You I think you have a better shot now of winning the whole thing than you did at the start of this postseason. And I say that in the sense that the Dodgers got put up against the hottest teams in baseball at the time. I
yeah,
mean, the Padres were, you know, burning hot, burning hot when you guys got them, and you guys just flushed them out. It may have taken you 5 games, but you flushed them out. And then you look at what you guys have been doing in the series against the Mets, and it's like night and day. Now, I think your series will go 7 games, but it will be exciting. I know you don't, but I think it will. And
I'm
you know,
hoping.
and you know, your counterpart on a couple of your shows wants it to go 7 games because she wants some hope the whole.
Yes, yes. Uh,
But ultimately, I think in the end, it will be your hand that is raised at the end of this NLCS series than it will be her hand. But
your lips to the baseball god's ears.
that's right. So we're going to start this off in the American League this week. When we look at this ALCS series, Yankees Guardians has been really a one-sided battle. Well, I mean, in the wins column, it's been
Okay,
primarily.
in the wins column. Yeah.
The Guardians have kept it close though in some cases. I mean, you look at game 3 and you look at game 4. I mean, game 3 they won, game 4 they had a shot. What is it, Bill, for you that you've seen in this series that's kind of been like the Guardians are going to be a future force to be reckoned with? What has it been about the series that has kind of given you that feeling that you can say, okay, I can see this for the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean the Guardians just have a really good lineup. They have a bunch of people that, Fry, for example, is not a household name yet. He's amazing. Noel hit that home run in game 3 to bring back, to tie the game. Frankly, if you're looking at, but the one thing about this series, Sam, is if you're looking at this, game 2, the Guardians gave away. They actually had a very good shot to win that. Game 3, it took them into extra innings. They were down 5-3, and they scored two in the ninth and then two in the 10th on a walk-off home
That
run.
2-run home run, that
Yeah,
2-1 off was pretty
yeah.
incredible in game 4, in game 3.
And then you have game 4 where they tied it up 6-6, and in the ninth they gave up 2 runs. Technically, if the Guardians were playing a little bit more fundamental baseball and a lot of bit more thinking we belong here and acting like they belong here and forgetting that they're playing the Yankees, this series could be 3-1 Guardians right now. So, um, I don't think it ends tonight. I really don't think it ends tonight. I think you're going to go back to New York, but Yankees all the way in the series. They've proven that they're gonna try to manhandle the Guardians. But I will tell you, the Yankees play very tight at home because they don't want to be embarrassed in New York. Guardians win tonight, they got a shot.
When you look at this Yankees team, we have talked about this Yankees team being a three-headed monster at you know at the plate with Soto, Stanton, and
Judge,
Arson Judge.
person,
Arson Judge.
person.
Um, as we go into game five and possibly a game six and a seven, what is it the Yankees need to do to keep the Guardians at arm's length?
Score early, score early. So tonight for tonight's game, just put up 1 run in the first, and get their pitcher to 25 pitches or so, and then maybe put up 1 or 2 runs in the second and third, and then just sit back and play fundamental baseball. You on in an elimination game, if the team that is being eliminated goes behind 2 or 3 runs early on, they play on their heels because they don't want their season to end, right? They don't want it to end. So, yeah,
No, and I completely agree with you that, when you're going up against a team that has as much power as the Yankees have, scoring, and I actually said this to my dad about the Dodgers Mets series. But talking just about this series, the Yankees have an exponential amount of more power than the Guardians. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, easily the Yankees could have the three best power hitters in all of baseball if you actually look at it.
true, true.
So having them, you know, scoring early and then kind of putting them on their heels, I think is the really what the Guardians have to do. But from a fielding perspective, do you see the Guardians being more tight, which is causing them to maybe make some mental errors in the field and on the mound? Or do you see them maybe playing a little too loose
Yeah.
and not?
I seen them being overwhelmed. Joe Torre's book called The Yankee Years that he wrote years ago. He made a comment in there, and I mean, I'm sure I could look it up and tell you which page number it was, but he made a comment in that thing, and he said basically that people are afraid of the name on the front of the jersey. So they go into a different town and people see that New York, they realize that we've won X number of championships. Like it makes them nervous. I think the Guardians have just been almost starstruck in the way that they've been playing. Even though they play the Yankees during the regular season, it's now October, the weather's colder, the Guardians aren't typically there. The Yankees are, they had a history of being there. And you're playing, the future giant, Arson Judge, and John Carlos Stanton, and a few other, Juan Soto, and Luke Weaver even though he got beat up uh, in game three, you're playing Luke Weaver. You've got a good pitching staff over there. I think it's a little bit more of a starstruck thing, the way that they're playing.
Okay, and I can see what you're saying about that. So last question on this.
Yeah.
I know you already mentioned, Yankees all the way. I see that. But this comes to game seven. Let's just say we get to a game seven in this series.
Hmm.
I don't think we will in the series. I think we will probably end it, if not tonight, tomorrow. If not in game five, in game seven. But let's just say we do get to a game seven. Guardians come back, win the next two games, tie it up. Who is the pressure on?
Yankees, because they're at home. They're not the underdog. They're the favorites, right? And they're at home. So 100% on the Yankees. And the same, honestly, Sam, the same thing applies if the Dodgers Mets series goes to 7 games. Pressure's on the
Well,
Dodgers.
as you mentioned that, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that Mets Dodgers series. So, looking at this Mets Dodgers series, I mean, this has really been a Dodger train wreck for the majority of what we've seen. I mean, minus game 5 and game 2, I mean, the Dodgers have really just run all over the Mets.
Mhm.
I mean, game 1, 9-0. Game 3, 8-0. Game 4, 10-2. I mean, Bill, I know you're a Dodgers fan, so keep your Dodger hat on right now. Live it up in Dodger world. What is it that the Dodgers are doing that is just putting them to this other level of baseball right now?
Yeah, it's pitching right now. Jack Flaherty had a great game in game one. He had a terrible game in game five. And that's just that's being honest. Um, uh, the bullpen game in game two. What's interesting about this, and this is going to sound really Dodger-esque, and I'm not meaning it to be that way, but if you look at that specific teams, and I'll take the Angels of 2002. The Angels of 2002, anytime they got behind, for some reason, you felt like they could always make it back. A couple of base hits in game two, and the Dodgers win that game. I mean, they had the bases loaded at one point. Um, they're down 7-3. A couple of hits, that changes things. Last night's game is a perfect example of a couple of hits changes things. Dodgers have second and third and nobody out, and they don't score in the first inning. They get bases loaded and nobody out, and they don't score. So if they score, if they just get a base hit in the first inning, um, the Mets are playing completely different baseball because they're down 2-0 in an elimination game. I can count at least 4 runs last night that the Dodgers gave up or that they missed opportunities. But in one word, what the Dodgers are doing right now is they're pitching very, very, very well. Yamamoto pitched great in game four. Walker Buehler pitched great in game three. It's just, yeah, it's pitching.
And it's interesting that you say that because the thing that you are, if I remember correctly, the
Yes,
thing you were most worried about with the
yes,
Dodgers going into the postseason
yes,
was their pitching.
yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes.
do
That was
you
my biggest
think?
concern.
Do you think Yamamoto coming back, Flaherty, because Yamamoto was injured up until last couple of weeks before postseason. Obviously he pitched enough games during the season to qualify to make the roster. Because for all of you in the baseball world that don't realize this, just like pitchers, just like fielders, and just like in every other sport, you need to be actively playing in your role for a certain percentage of games to make to be eligible to make your postseason roster. That's why
Hmm.
you see a lot of these guys who are traded halfway through the season or released and then picked up by teams not being able to make their roster because they didn't qualify for, I think it's, what is it, like 80% of games you have to play in a season before you can
Hmm.
qualify for a team's roster.
Yeah, it's something like that, 70 or 80%
Yeah,
of the
it's a
game.
very odd statistic, but
Yeah.
makes a lot of
With,
sense. And I respect the fact that baseball does that
with the
because
exception of
otherwise they'd
injury,
all be picking up people.
right? With the exception of injury. So, for example, Landon Knack did not play in 80% of the Dodgers games or 80% of the pitching opportunities, but because of injuries, they're allowed to.
Right. He was an active member of the roster at the beginning of the season. Oh, he wasn't?
No, he was not. He was brought up. He was brought up in late July, early August. He's a rookie.
Oh, I think rookies have a certain I think rookies it's a different statistic stat
Yeah,
line for
and that's because of injuries, right? You've got every dot. Listen, if the Dodgers had a healthy Clayton Kershaw, healthy uh Dustin May, and a healthy Tyler Glasnow, this series would already be over.
Yes, there's no question about that. Um But let's flip this. But let's flip this for a second. We do talk about the Dodgers, and I know, we don't have Mets. We don't have Mets Phillies Meg on, so we're gonna, you know, we're not going to put words in her mouth.
Right.
But let's flip this for a second. Let's look at this from the Mets perspective now. Mets have won two out of the 5 games you guys have played. You're going back to LA for your game tomorrow night. Luckily, there's no good football games to watch, so all the eyes are going to be on this or on this game. From
Yes.
the Mets perspective, while their back may be against the wall, they also came into this as the number 6 seed. So, being that they're back in LA and knowing that the Dodgers have played exceptionally well this year in their home stadium, is the pressure on the Dodgers right now to finish this, and the Mets can kind of play a little bit looser than they typically have been playing because there's no expectation?
So
Or
there's
or is the pressure on the Mets to say we came in with no expectation, but we were the hottest team in baseball, and now we're going to show you what?
uh, uh, I think you're asking the right question, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit. If the Mets season ends tomorrow night, and I've talked to a number of Mets fans, if the Mets season ends tomorrow night, nobody's disappointed because and most of the Mets, actually all the Mets fans that I've talked to have said it's been a great ride, right? Again, 2 months ago, they weren't even close to a wild card position. And then they get the wild card on the last day of the season. They clinch a wild card spot. And then they take out the Brewers on their last at bat, right? they're down, and they got 1 out left to go, and Pete Alonso hits a home run. Then they take out the Phillies. Now they're trying to take out the Dodgers. They've had a Cinderella ride. Um, but at the end of the day, New Yorkers expect to win. So yes, the pressure is on them. But in all reality, Mets fans cannot lie that this has been a very good season. They need to ink up Pete Alonso in the offseason. They need to go out and grab one more pitcher. Heck, go grab Walker Buehler. He'll help your pitching staff. He's the odd man out in LA. You take him over to New York, see what happens. So
I mean, there's also an opening in San Francisco on the pitching staff right now, so
yeah,
who knows
but they
what
like
Walker
playing in
Buehler might
they
be.
like playing in October, so it's gonna be a while.
Well, there's
Listen,
there's there's a new head honcho in San Francisco, and he's making some changes. So let's just go with
listen,
it.
I guarantee you guys will win the World Series. The San Francisco Giants are World Series champions in 2092. It's guaranteed. It's in the books right now.
I see 2025 in my picture. You
Listen, the
last question.
Giants win the World Series in 2025. I will come to the East Coast where you live. I will take you out to the most lavish dinner that you've ever thought of, and we'll hang out all night, whatever. We'll spend a couple $100 on this dinner.
It is. This has been recorded. It is etched in stone. Bill is
Yes.
now has
You will.
zero choice
I
but to
will
live
take
for
you
that.
out to the nicest dinner you've ever had. We'll spend several $100s on this dinner. And so yeah, if the
Awesome.
Giants win the World Series next
All right. Last question. Last question. Like we
year. Hit it up.
said, the Dodgers. The pressure is on the Dodgers, but I'm gonna give you a similar question to what I just asked you before about the Yankees.
Yeah.
Mets win tonight. We go to Game 7. You are playing at home.
All pressure's on the Dodgers.
All pressure is on the Dodgers.
Pressure's on the Dodgers. So, but yes, all pressure on the Dodgers. Remember, the Dodgers have the best record in baseball. So they came in as the number one seed. They host the World Series. So if they can make it to the World Series, games 1 and 2 are in LA, games 6 and 7 are in LA, games 3, 4, and 5 are either in New York or Cleveland. All pressure's on the Dodgers at this point.
And we all know where your mind is at. That's Dodgers all the way.
I
So
just hope that they can win game 6. I don't want a game 7.
that's fair. All right. Bill, as we wrap up talking about the postseason this week, you put together a fantastic postseason podcast schedule for us.
Yeah, it's been
Tell me
fun.
about it.
Been fun. So we've got Manny, who has never been on a podcast, but he's been on a rivalry talk before. So we've had him on camera before. He is a die-hard Dodger fan. Haven't talked to him in over a year. Brian, the baseball card snark, is a huge Phillies fan. He doesn't live in Philly, but boy, he is a huge Phillies fan. And Jeanette, she hasn't been on a podcast since 2022. One of my favorite interviews this week was Josh and Austin, both Angels fans, father and son. Austin's playing, trying to make it all the way through. He's in high school right now. Josh is coaching him. It was a fantastic interview. And then
How did you
Harmony
get an
leads us.
Angels fan to talk during postseason week?
Listen,
I figured they were already in hibernation.
listen. I have been trying to get this guy on for the last 4 weeks. It's been tough with schedules, right? And then Tiger Town Talk did playoff edition this week, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, that one makes sense. They made the playoffs. The Angels had no reason to be near the playoffs. I don't know how you got them to agree to this.
I've
Did you
known
have to
Josh for
bribe
20
them?
years.
Did you bribe them with the thought that they might get Shohei back, and they were like, "Okay, I'll come on the show."
No, I've known Josh for 20 years. Maybe I
Oh,
called it a chip. So,
okay.
yes.
Talk to me
Uh,
about the clubhouse. Talk to me
so
about in the leagues.
in the leagues. So in the leagues this week, we have a guest potentially coming on Monday. We're still firming that up. Would you rather Jackson? We're still trying to get Jackson on. He has a young one, so it's been tough for him. And then Megan and I are going to do a World Series edition on Friday. If you missed yesterday's ITL, you need to go back and watch it. It still lives on Instagram. We had two Dodger fans on, me and a guy named Kenny, the Dodger Beast. And then we had Phil from Shirley and Megan on representing the Mets. And we just duked it out yesterday. It was a lot of fun.
Oh
Sam, I
man,
wish you could have
I
been
will
there.
have to go back and rewatch that because that sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it was
I'm sure Megan got crushed, but
no, actually it was a lot better than what you had anticipated. So for sure.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
She didn't. She lived up to the expectation. That's always a benefit.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Make sure as well you are checking out TFR. It's sports talk. It's fan involved every Tuesday, right? No,
Thursday.
Thursday at 7 p.m. I will make sure that that is added the date to this
Yeah.
moving forward.
So so Sam, what's cool about that and what's cool about the um, Touchdown Tuesdays are on the X Spaces. We just go on and there's no agenda. So we end up talking quite a bit. So it's this last week we ended up talking a lot about baseball, but there was a lot of football to be talked about. And so when it's a sports talk, it's fan involved. Yeah, you got something you want to talk about soccer? Come on, right? Uh-oh, uh-oh. The Las Vegas Raiders
The football hat is on. We have converted to football season.
got a Raiders hat.
No, no, because the Raiders, as we just talked about, are going to end the year at 7-11 and or 7-10 and trade away for a revamp. But make sure you are checking out Touchdown Football Talk Tuesdays with Bill and Megan as they talk all things football, not just NFL, but they talk college as well. And there is a special guest joining the locker room this week on
Yes.
Wednesday for a special Top Fan Rivalry fan event, members only event. As Bill has mentioned in the past, if you are not a member of Top Fan Rivalry, you can get one exclusive membership pass for free to one of the exclusive virtual events that they put on. So make sure you use that free pass wisely. But tell us about the guest this week.
So the guest this week is Zach Manassian. He wrote a book called The Lasorda University. It's a collection. I've read it. It's a great book. I'm not going to tell you about it, but it's a great book. It's about the summer of '68 when he was basically a bat boy and a clubhouse attendant for Tommy Lasorda. His relationship with Tommy over the years. He's got a couple of boys that he's got three boys currently that work in baseball. One is a clubhouse attendant, is a equipment manager for the 2093 world champion San Francisco Giants. Another one is the equipment manager for the Braves.
You
And the
mean
other one is the GM for the
the
Angels.
2010, 12, 14 San Francisco Giants?
What have you done for me lately? Ooh, ooh, ooh. There's a song like that. I think so. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not a singer. But anyways, Zach is amazing. He's got so much to tell. He was a clubhouse attendant for 30 years with the Texas Rangers, and it just yeah, he's got a lot of fun.
That's
I'm
awesome. So
excited about this one.
if you are available, if you are free, make sure you are checking out that session. It is going to be a great time. But as always, make sure you are checking out TopFanRivalry.com for new articles, podcasts, merch that is always being dropped on a regular basis. Make sure if you have not already joined, you need to join the Top Fan Rivalry T-shirt club. You get one free shirt every month being a member of the club. It is always new, it is always fresh. Keep your apparel up with TopFanRivalry.com. As always, check out the exclusive member events that are coming in the future, and we will get into more detail post-season. But don't forget, Top Fan Rivalry Fan Fest coming in January. It is going to be awesome. You want to make sure you are there. Bill, any final comments for the fans out there?
Nope. Dodgers, go, fight, win. Woo! I
Of
don't know where I
course,
was
got to
going with
wrap it
this.
up as Bill always does. Thank you so much for joining us this week on ATD. We will see you on the field next week. Have a good
Next week.
Saturday, folks.